Before I get started, I want to introduce some folks who are joining me up here on stage. This is our Deputy National Communications Director, Todd Hunter. To his left is our marketing writer, Camille Cates. This is Brian Buckwalter, retired Marine Corps Master Sergeant, Brian Buckwalter. There we go, our Senior Communications Associate, and Elizabeth B. Bombay, who is a communications writer. Three of the five of us up on the stage have been with the organization for less than a year. We got a lot of new blood in our department, and a lot of talent has rolled in over the last year, so we're incredibly excited about that. So I think most of you know what we do as a department for the organization, for members, for chapters, for departments. We work for the organization and tell their stories from the individual member leader on up through the national adjutant and the national commander. At every level, we are here to tell the DAV's story with consistency, with authenticity, with clarity, and with accuracy. And here's just some of the things that we do. We have, again, 12 to 15 writers, editors, photographers, designers, artists, the kind of folks that you think about when you think about outreach. An incredibly talented group of folks. I'm not just saying that because some of them are on stage with me. Most of them are back in Erlanger in Washington, D.C. right now. And again, we've got the best team of any veteran service organization in the world. I can tell you that for a fact. And again, right now they're back home working incredibly hard, as you might imagine. We're responsible for all the internal and external communications of this organization, the branding, public perception. We support, again, all departments, and through the channels that you typically think of, the magazine, social media, the website, and we'll go through some of those right now. We call those channels. Those are just different ways of reaching out to different people. We have press releases, we write speeches, we do media relations. I mean, if you just take this event right here, right, not this seminar necessarily, but national convention, all the on-stage programming that you saw, including the videos, including the speeches that were DAV speeches, the introductions, the logo that you see up on the screen, the web where you register on the website, the text and the app, all of that, the legislative department's presentation, getting John Stewart here, handling that live remote, all of those aspects are handled by this team. We're a relatively small but powerful team of men and women, so I think that you could agree with that. The biggest, our biggest channel, I guess you'd say, if we're talking about different channels, the river, is our magazine. It goes out to all of our members, goes out to every member of Congress. We tell stories, right? Because that is what everything that DAV's communications department does. It's what it boils down to. We're telling stories. In the magazine, it puts faces on issues. It helps to humanize our service work, our policy work, and it shows the effectiveness of DAV at every level. And again, it shows what each one of you are doing for our organization. It keeps our members informed. It's a calling card at VA hospitals, which might be something that you might not consider, but it really is. A lot of the people who reach out to DAV who aren't members, who are veterans, are reaching out because they saw something in DAV magazine when they were waiting for an appointment at a VA medical center. We hear that quite a bit, and they're not members yet, and they still find something to complain about the magazine, which is like, hey, you're ahead of the progress, and that's a nice job, ahead of the curve. Anyway, we are allowed to tell our stories. We highlight what's important to us, including our values like diversity. That's the latest cover of DAV magazine, and most of you have received that. You should have received it before you came to the convention. That's Adam Alexander. I think you guys saw yesterday, our Disabled American Veteran of the Year. What a tremendous individual he is. I think we can all agree. I think that the job that the team did putting together this video, I've never been more proud of the piece that we've done as a department. We love submissions, right? And I know that a lot of you out there have sent us photographs. Some of them have ran, some of them have not. And we hear a lot back. We hear a lot from you when they don't run in the magazine. And we can talk about why sometimes. But of course, we have limited space. I mean, you can imagine that. it is certainly, I don't want any of you ever to take it personally, like we feel that what you're doing is not important if it doesn't run the magazine. A lot of times it's a space issue. But what you can do, I can tell you this, I can't promise that it'll run, but if you want to increase your chances of getting a submission in DAV magazine, you can go to our publicity guide, and that has all of the information that you need for taking a great photograph, how to space it, how to kind of put it together. It's got all kinds of resources in it, and I'll come back to this throughout my presentation. But this is, in my opinion, one of the most important publications our organization has created the past decade. All of us on here, on stage, have worked pretty hard over the years to become outreach professionals, through the military, some of us, through college, through other sources, just through the hard-won experience. And I can tell you that this publicity guide, we are giving the game away. We are telling you everything you need. Most of the time when someone reaches out to me from the local level member leader and asks me a question, I'll always finish up with asking if they looked at the publicity guide, if they looked for that in the publicity guide, and when they have it, I tell them, use it. And I think it makes us all more effective. It tells you, again, you can see some of the things there, but we're talking about photographs right now, but they're giving you how to use rule of thirds. I still don't know how to use rule of thirds, right? But it's really important to take a good photograph. We love the back of the photos. Again, Steve Jobs, 2 decades ago, made taking photographs with our phone kind of idiot-proof, but still there's ways to set up composition. Here's a good one I always like to show my perfect example. This is, if it had a dog in it, actually, it would be the perfect example. It's got everything but a dog, right? You got young kids who are making a presentation, disabled veterans. Just a couple, we don't have a huge group of people that we have to identify. They're telling exactly who, what, when, where, giving all that basic information. Again, back in that publicity guide, you'll find all that kind of information that you need to take that perfect photograph, just like that one. Of course, DAV.org. It is probably the most popular channel that we have. 3.3 million visits a year. It's undergoing a facelift right now on the backside. You guys haven't seen that, but talking to my colleague and some others in our department have been very hard at work on that for over a year, really making sure that we get this right. It's going to fit. The reason we're doing a facelift is, number one, it needs it. It's been a while since we've really done a major facelift on the website. But what we really need to do as an organization, from the outreach perspective, is to be talking about DAV to an audience that doesn't know DAV. A lot of times we're just talking to ourselves. We're talking about, I'm seeing NSOs right now, right? We all know what an NSO is, but it's not self-evident what an NSO is. When we call them benefits advocates, everybody knows what they are. Everybody knows the kind of work that they do. It's much easier for us to talk about benefits advocate than a TSO or an NSO, and DVOPs and levers and all these sorts of things, which again, we know about, but we need to be doing a better job of using the kind of language that is attracting a broader audience, right? So a lot of that stuff can seem like inside baseball, and we definitely don't want that. So a lot of that's, the website is going to be focused on that. Of course, we still have all the resources that DAV leaders, each of you, need to execute the mission. It's still in a members section. It used to be, I think most of you know, we've been driving home, hey, the members only section. It's got all the resources, members only, members only. You had to enter in your membership number, and I think your name and your membership number had to match. You got into this secure area, boom, you had all the information that you needed there. That's gone. We brought all that out in the front of house. We just realized that there's no real reason to hide it. No real reason to hide our resources. We want people who are coming to our organization to realize that we're dynamic, that we're empowering people at the local level. But again, all that stuff is still there. It's still available. It's just not behind a paywall anymore. You can make you charge for it. It's just behind a security wall. Of course, social media. I'm not going to dwell too much on social media. Todd Hunt's going to talk about that when I'm finished here. But it's a massive audience. We use to amplify our message. We share our articles. We share everything we create. Pretty much, we find a way to run it through, if not every social channel, at least the majority of our social channels. We have 1.3 million followers on Facebook, 100,000 on Twitter. LinkedIn's got 128,000, and Instagram has 60,000. Those last two, LinkedIn and Instagram, are growing rapidly every year, and it's really where we're seeing growth. Facebook has been very static. Twitter has been very static. Although we did dip down beneath 100,000, and we just got back over 100,000 again. So, in addition to what Todd's going to tell you, I'm sure you can guess where you can find the tips and tricks and the principles for growing and effectively using social media audiences. It's going to be found in the publicity guide I mentioned before. And then I would be remiss if I did not share this bit of information. It should be on the About section of everyone's chapter department Facebook page. This should include your location, your times for meetings, your phone numbers, your email addresses, whoever your contact is at the chapter level, and then a link to your chapter department website if you have one. Because if you don't have that information on your Facebook page, we are the ones getting the call asking for chapter 15 in Arkansas, where it is, who can I contact there to find out when their meetings are. They reach out to us. Social media is a great tool, right? We have this massive audience. Social media can also be a double-edged sword. We've all seen how destructive social media can be, I think. I think we feel it pulling apart our country in certain ways. I think that it causes a false sense of familiarity with what your neighbors are doing. And it makes it feel like, I'm getting mad about something that's happening in Oklahoma, and I haven't been to Oklahoma in a decade, right? Why am I getting mad about something that's going on in Oklahoma? There's a reason why you feel that way. You are being targeted for this kind of destruction. Foreign agents are coming after you. I mean, I know that sounds paranoid, like crazy. That's like me over here snickering right now, but it's true. There was a VBA, Vietnam Veterans of America, did a fantastic report in 2017 that talked about foreign agents with fake accounts who are targeting veterans. And the reason that they're targeting veterans, the reason that they're coming after each and every one of you, is because, number one, you're respected, right? I mean, you have served this country, you have a degree of respect that the minds of your fellow Americans put you up a bit on a pedestal. And you have proven, because you serve, you've proven that you are willing to do something about your beliefs. And if they can get you to feel a certain way or to be upset about a certain thing, then that is an incredibly potent force. Right? So I just ask that each of you, while you're out there, be incredibly careful. It can be dangerous. Don't spend time with unsourced news. Don't get riled up by sensational stories, especially as they relate to veterans. And do your best to remain positive like out there. I'm not Chaplain Barner, so I'll step down off my preaching soapbox there. One more thing from the social media side, and I'll quit stealing Todd's thunder, but our social media manager, he got in my ear before I left, and he said, please ask them to go out and leave, if they would, a favorable review for DAV on Facebook. It's super easy to do. You just visit the Facebook, look for the review portion on the DAV page. You find a box that says, do you recommend DAV? You select yes, everybody. You select yes, you recommend DAV, you're like, okay, good. You type your review, you got to say 25 characters with the great things. You can talk about how amazing this seminar has been. And then, you make sure that it's published so that everybody can see it. We ask that each and every one of you do that. When you go back home, ask your other Facebook followers to do that. It's really important for us. It just helps, keep our levels up high when it comes to, because sometimes we have people, whether real or not real, getting on our social media accounts and, saying strange things, leaving, bad reviews, that kind of thing. And if it's a real review, but it really is some sort of issue with the organization, we'll address it, absolutely. But a lot of times, what we're seeing is they're not really bad. There's just some disgruntled folks who are out there, I guess is what I'm saying. In again, another thing I'm not going to dwell too much on because it is something that's going to be in Todd's presentation, it's earned media, but I'm telling you, at the local level, you guys, if you've heard Randy Reese, our executive director in Washington, D.C., if you've heard him talk about, about the importance of what you're doing at the local level, he always says all politics is local. I think he got that from Tip O'Neill. It is a truism that is true about, I think, a lot of important things, and that includes outreach. It's incredibly important for you to be involved and to know that your local reporters, especially if they are covering our beat, if they are covering veterans issues, if they're covering nonprofit issues, you should know who they are. That includes television, radio, newspapers as well. The successfully working at a local level with earned media, trying to pitch them stories is critical. Right? It helps us in so many ways. We can do all we want from the national level. We have national media exposure, absolutely, but that pales in comparison to what you are doing as an army of disabled veterans and communities across the country, raising awareness. And we track that every day. We see a report that comes out, and we see how successful you've been. There's three people I know, maybe they're all three in this room, who probably could teach this course. John Hogensack, there's Al LaBelle sitting down front, and I think I saw Danny Oliver here earlier. Those are three member leaders who are out there, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Ohio, John. Those guys know that that using local media drives attention and bolster your services, whether they're actual service work, claims work, whether it's volunteerism. Danny Oliver has done a fantastic job getting local media behind his efforts for recruiting transportation network drivers or training them as well. It's incredibly effective. Right? It's a two-way relationship. Obviously, we like the media hits. I like that from my perspective. But who else likes what you're doing is John Feindes and Doug Wells and Rob Lucia. These guys, what they know, what you're doing at the local level is incredibly important. The only thing that works harder, or as hard, I should say, not harder, as our team is our public service announcements campaign. This is the distillation of our brand. It's the most effective outreach campaign, in my opinion, since identito tags. And I know a lot of you know what identito tags were. It was something that even if you didn't know DAV, you knew about identito tags. Well, even if you don't know about DAV, you know exactly who we are. You've driven past one of our billboards. You've seen one of our television, one of our PSAs on television. We've had them aired during major bowl games, UFC fights, local newspapers. We've been in the Wall Street Journal hundreds of times this year, these past 2 years alone. It's hard to put a value on that, although I'm going to try to do that here in a second. The Support Victories for Veterans campaign, it tells the stories of disabled veterans who have suffered setbacks, but have found victories with the support of DAV. These are TV ads, not TV PSAs, radio, print, and out of home, things like billboards. You see them in the airport, you see them all over the place, and out of home. I don't want to look too far into the past, I don't want to dwell on the past, but 2021 we had incredible results. That's 8.6 billion impressions, worth $999 million. I got that right. Yeah, 99 million. These numbers are too big. I can't even keep track of them. 99 million, almost 100 million. It kills me that we're that short of 100 million. But that happens when, again, we have great creative. We have the work that you do. We have an American public that feels compelled to care about our mission. Again, the creative stuff just looks good. It's beautiful. CBS runs, the ABC runs these ads. There's that Wall Street Journal that I was talking about. I see it all over the place. I mean, I did actually the math on this. I wrote this down here. If a Super Bowl ad costs about $7 million, so We got about 14 Super Bowl ads last year alone worth of exposure on that movie, so it's fairly impressive. And as of June of this year, halfway through the year, so June 30th, the end of June, we're at 5.2 billion impressions, $53 million in generated media value. So those of you who are doing the math, hopefully you're better than me, but I know that we're tracking to be better than, to do better than we did last year. We're halfway through the year there, and we're over half those totals from 2021. And I'm getting ready to talk to you about a little bump that we're getting ready to talk to you about that in a second. Because every time that we release new PSA creative, which we have just done, we get a significant bump in terms of our numbers. I just want to show you, I love showing these out of home ads. I mean, you see them everywhere. This is a bus stop, one's at an airport. There's another, the same ad is someone driving, snap these shots. You guys, I don't take any of these. We don't send photographers out to take these. You guys share them with us. We love to see them. Some of them on social media when you have them. We love that. That's Greg Gatson, all the way across the country. That's Alex Hussey and Greg Gatson together there. Yeah, you're right as well. That's a Food Lion in Maryland. Alex Hussey there. He's at a bus stop, I think, in New York City. And again, that's across the country. All these different places, all these kind of, wherever there's a place now, it seems like they're at, wherever there's a little space, they're finding a way to advertise to you. And sometimes no one buys that advertisement, and when they don't, it works out with the AV's benefit. We're not paying for any of this space; it's being donated to us. So it's really important for us to understand. Here's that's Carmen McGinnis there. I think she is at the airport. I think it's Oklahoma City Airport that Alice Hussey's in. And then that's Naomi Mathis down at the bottom. She's on a subway station. And speaking of Naomi Mathis, I know we were all broken up earlier this year when Kim and Kanye split. We found a way to go on. But what was bad for Kim and Kanye was good for DAV. We found our way into that paradise. We're finding a way to turn tragedy into something that's positive. So at any rate, there's Naomi and her beautiful family down in Florida. And it's a great ad. That one gets, that PSA gets a lot of play as well. And we have such beautiful and powerful art that we were actually approached by Disney to use our PSA artwork in the sequel to, I will read this because I've never seen this movie before. It's called Stargirl. It is a Disney Plus movie. Look at that, shaking their heads out there. They have teenage kids in them, don't you? Teenagers. Or do you like it? Do you like it yourself? Okay. My teenage daughter loves it for the first time in her life. She thinks I'm cool. Because something I did ended up, or something I worked on, ended up in Hollywood Stargirl, which is the sequel. It was released in May on Disney Plus. The first 5 minutes of the movie, first 10 minutes of the movie, there's Mike Biggs, disabled veteran from DAV Health, who's homeless. His PSA right there on the side of the bus right at the beginning, so it's pretty cool. But we can't rest. Right? We know that as an organization in every way, shape, or form. We cannot rest. We have to keep continuing to innovate, keep moving forward, keep finding new ways to tell stories, keep telling great stories. And so earlier this year, starting in the winter time, and then, as I mentioned, released just last month, we shot new creative featuring 3 veterans. We have new television spots, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 15, and we have radio, out of home, and print ads as well. 3 new veterans. We've already gotten great exposure, CBS, Food Network, Fox Business. We're in AARP Magazine, USA Today. But these stories, again, are incredibly powerful, and they recognize at least one face there. If you were at the joint opening session on Saturday, that's Adam Alexander, our disabled American Veteran of the Year. It was fantastic. And we keep talking about it. We've already said something about him once, so let's keep talking about that guy. I can't say enough. He's free. We actually found out, I was just talking to Mike Hurt, that while he was here, while he was down here, a friend just called him and said, "Hey, I saw you on ESPN." So his PSA is already out there, and people are already calling him about it. So it's super cool. So the first, again, that's Latoya Lucas. She's a veteran in North Carolina. I said South Carolina last time I was talking at midwinter, and I got in trouble for that. It's North Carolina, I apologize. veteran, injured by an IED in Iraq, and she's just got a fantastic story about DAV helping her. Let's see if I can get this thing to play.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit, and it was bad. Back home, I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible. Having someone on your side means everything.
DAV helps veterans like LaToya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
She's great.
While serving in Iraq.
There, Michael Naranjo. Some of you might remember, if you've been with the organization long enough, Michael Naranjo was the Outstanding Disabled Veteran of the Year back in 96, 97, somewhere around there. Again, another Army veteran. These are all Army veterans, by the way, that we shot this time. What happened to us, the Marine Corps, at Saturday's joint opening session? I feel like reevaluating all this Army. I'll think you're thinking about that, I'm not sure. Michael, the last thing he saw was the enemy soldier in Vietnam throwing a grenade at him. He was blinded, and that has since gone on not only to meet presidents and with a truly inspiring life, but he's actually a very accomplished artist, and I'll let him tell the story here.
Serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. Today, I'm a sculptor. My fingers are my eyes. As a veteran, I know the challenges of life can be great.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned.
With DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Again, this is highlighting things that are important. Right? We have diversity, women veterans, men veterans. Michael's a Native American. It's important to us. It's important to us when we're talking about our organization that we're leaning into the principles that make us so great. And I think with these stories, I do a really good job of that. Let's see if I can do this without playing that one again.
So then,
See, I didn't do it. And then, of course, you guys know this face. I've talked about him twice already. Adam Alexander, I'll let him tell the story.
Serving in Afghanistan, I was hit by sniper fire, and I was given a 5% chance to live. It's a good thing math wasn't my best subject. Today, I visit classrooms and share my story. I tell kids that with a little help and a lot of work, that you can overcome any challenge.
DAV helps veterans like Adam get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is being there for the next generation.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
That's a great piece. Adam's fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, you might recognize that voice, right? If you're not exactly aware of who it is. That's Dale Dye. We gave him the Bugle Award, DAV Bugle Award in 2019 for the work that he's done to promote disabled veterans and veterans in the public. He's a DAV member, Vietnam veteran, combat injured in Vietnam, and he came back and decided to start a company, consulting company, where he taught actors to not look like wimps, right? To look like warriors, and that's real work. He started back with Platoon. I think it was the first movie where he really got into it, and took Johnny Depp and Charlie Sheen and drug them up onto a mountainside Thailand and did his best to make soldiers. And I think that's why you have films going from Rambo 2 to Platoon within a course of a year, right? So much, they're so different, so authentic. He's in Band of Brothers and Pacific. He did all that for them. He's an actor as well as in this film, but you hear he's got a fantastic voice and he's a DAV member, so we're really proud of that. So, you know I was going to do that, right? So, just like with Earn Media, local chapters really can help us out here. You can get involved at the local level by pitching to TV, radio, and print at local newspapers and magazines, right? Out of home is really where you guys, you're way ahead of me on that. I get calls, emails all the time, at least weekly, from you saying, hey, I saw reach out to them and ask them, because it looks better for them if it has artwork on it, right? Or it shows how beautiful it can be, how powerful it can be, and with our artwork on there, people really love to show that. So keep sending those, but also, a chapter, a local activity that you can do together when you go back home is to take time, set up an opportunity to go and meet with these local news organizations. Again, not just about earned media. Earned media is more when you probably wouldn't have a specific story that you want to pitch. This is more about letting them know that you're out there, letting them know that you have these PSAs, and letting them know that it would be important to you as veterans and their community for them to run those. They have to run PSAs anyway. So why not run something where the representatives are direct representatives in our community and are coming and talking to us as media, local media folks. So it's incredibly important, and I'm sure you can guess where you can find out how, all the resources for that. This time it's different. I love it. It's a PSA toolkit. That tells you everything. We've got all the information in there. They've got the website. They can go to the website. They can download the PSA. You don't even have to. You used to have to carry CDs in and give them CDs to try to download stuff off of, or DVDs. Now you just go in there, go to the website, and it's just that easy for them. So these stories, this incredible the branding, this work that we have done, it softens the target, I guess, to use a military term. It's your stories, our organization, great branding. It's like a three-punch combination. And it really opens doors for us. It opens and attracts partnerships. I see a lot of you have seen this. Media and corporate partners like Disney, ABC, UFC, ESPN. These are ongoing relationships that are made possible because these organizations are interested in what you're doing and what they're seeing, from a lot of these PSA campaigns. But then that is backed up by how local and just again how outgoing each of you are at the local level. Here I'll show you some of our recent UFC partnership pieces here.
ESPN Plus every Tuesday. Why now for the official decision brought to you by DAV, Disabled American Veterans, keeping our promise to American veterans. Here's Bruce Butler.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mark Smith.
Yeah, I care about that so much. We won that. Cowboy Cerrone, actually. That was Cowboy Cerrone's last fight. It was a big deal. I mean, for those of you who know MMA, he was a very popular fighter, and so that was kind of going away fight. They gave us that opportunity for DAV's logo in there, and that's fantastic. Actually, it was a really blessed in a lot of ways. And here's another blessed opportunity that we had with you guys. The commander won by submission in the second round. Very proud of the organization. I'm sure Judge Morris would have been proud. But that was again that's just one of these benefits, right? That comes along. These organizations want to do business with us. They want to be involved with what we're doing. And it's just us trying to effectively tell your story. One of these days, this is the schedule. We're going to publish this on our website and on social media, but this is the remaining schedule for the rest of the year, or at least through, I think this is the rest of the year. These are official decision announcements, and the CDAV involved in those. Somewhere in there, we don't know where exactly, they just kind of put us where they can, which is, it's okay, we love that. But sometimes I have this dream that one day one of the chaplains is going to call me up and say, you know what we did last week, Rob, you're not going to do this over the weekend. We knew that DAV was on this fight, so we went to our local B-dubs and we said, hey, DAV has this partnership with UFC, you're showing the UFC fight on Saturday night, how about letting us set up an information table with volunteers and talk about it. We're going to be on the broadcast, right? So why not? So the first one you to do that, I'm going to make my dream come true. So I look forward to hearing about that. Another way that our PSAs have opened the door is this to an organization called Theater of War. I don't know how many of you saw the Theater of War partnership event that we did with them in June. Right? Yeah, one of those I can't remember now. It's been a while, a couple months. So Theater of War. not the easiest thing to explain, and my elevator pitch on what they are is a bit rusty. But Theater of War is an organization that has top-notch actors reading seminal plays, I'll explain what that means in a second, with an audience of veterans, in front of an audience of veterans, and then they have the audience of veterans react to those seminal plays, right? They talk about those themes that were engaged in that play. So, you know, Greeks, Romans, they wrote about things like moral injury and PTSD and you know, all the wounds of war, physical, mental. For thousands of years, we've been doing this, right? These ancient plays, this group brings them in to the modern era. They have these actors reading specific sections of them, like I said, and then they have veterans who have experienced this in real life reacting to those plays, to those readings. And it has attracted, I mean, you see there, that's David Strathairn, that's Oscar Isaac, Greg Gatson, who's in our PSAs, is there as well. And in the center, that is John Musgrave himself, the author of the book, about his experience in Vietnam. And for those of you who did hear it, I apologize. I know it has some rough language in it, but you know, I'm sure that was his experience. He was severely injured in Vietnam. He appeared in Ken Burns' documentary about Vietnam and did an amazing job. This was incredibly well presented. Then these are, and then Ashley Burns, as a DAV member. The story, I think, was incredibly well read. First of all, I think it was very engaging. But then after that, again, this is all virtual, they have a group, a panel of disabled veterans who are reacting to what was just read. How does this make you feel? What does this, when you hear this, tell me about how this relates to your story as well. And we had Commander Marshall, you'll see here in a second, Naomi Mathis, again, was involved with that as well. Got a couple of others in there. I'll apologize to them after this runs, but I forgot their names. But let's take a look at this. That's Oscar Isaac again. I mean, you know Oscar. You guys seen Star Wars? He's Poe in Star Wars. Very famous actor.
Since I stuttered, all I wanted to do my entire life was to be a Marine. Asking me if I wanted to join the Corps was like asking me if I wanted to play in the Beach Boys.
We ran back outside at top speed with the drill instructor screaming at us.
Then, unexpectedly, training began to take hold, and everyone fell into place.
A ricochet clip like Shannon drove me face first to the ground.
But one thing that stuck in my mind at the end of AIT training was the sergeant telling us, asking us, you know what your job is? And we gave him various answers, and he said, no, your job is to make the enemy die for their country. And he took that pretty serious.
That was the commander with the mic drop right there. That's pretty. I thought he was great. It was Michael Morano was the other DAV representative for this. But again, during this event, so while that's all that's virtual, it's via Zoom, it's facilitated by Theater of War, this organization, Theater of War. While that's going on, Oscar Isaac starts trending on Twitter, right? Which might seem like teenage nonsense to most of us, I get that. But that means that, and believe me, most of what was being shared was pictures of, you know, Dreamboat Isaac, Oscar Isaac, from, you know, mostly from young women and some young men. Thought he was, you know, just looked good. I don't care, right? Because they're showing clips of a video that's got DAV in it, and an event that we are associated with is trending on Twitter. That doesn't happen very often. So Theater of War is interested in getting the band back together, I should say. They want to do something with DAV again this fall. We just have the bones of it right now. We know it's going to be in the Washington, D.C. area, and we're excited to announce that it's going to be the first time in the public, at least, that they're going to be back in person again. So this is going to be a live in-person read. It's going to have, you all are going to be able to watch it no matter where you are. It's going to have a national broadcast element to it. It'll be available online, but it's going to be in person as well. So we're hoping to get someone like a Denzel Washington or an Adam Driver, who they have had before, to do some reading with Adam Driver's Marine Corps veteran served in Iraq. So it'd be wonderful to have him there. But we are going to be doing something that's going to be veteran focused this fall. I want to make you aware of that. And these are just some other fall media highlights. We're going to be, getting back with Disney, ESPN, and ABC. We're going to be on Hulu again. You'll start seeing the PSAs on Hulu. Again, some more UFC. You saw UFC pieces. We just shot a piece with USA Today at national headquarters, and they captured our first Patriot Boot Camp event at national headquarters. They had a full film crew there, and it was pretty cool. It was really, really neat. And they had a big crew that was a little bit disruptive, I feel, but I have to apologize to Barry afterwards. But it was amazing, really. It was, and they were blown away by what they saw there. We haven't seen, I was hoping we might have seen a rough cut that I could share with you today, but we haven't seen the rough cut yet. But as soon as we do have the full cut, we'll be sharing that on social media. So please make sure that you're sharing it as well. And that's all I have right now. I'm going to switch over to my partner in crime, Todd Hunter, our Deputy National Communications Director. All I care about is that you guys do not see my desktop and how messy it is. So I'm going to try to do this. Here we go.
Well, now I have control and can show you his desktop. Is that okay? Everyone can hear me okay? Yes. All right, great. Todd Hunter, I'm DAV's Deputy National Communications Director out of our DC office. 8.5 years in the Marine Corps. But before that, born and raised here in Orlando. So just want to say, I hope my hometown is treating everyone well and welcome. I hope you've had a really good time. Before I get started, I just want to do a little exercise here. I know everyone's been sitting down for about an hour. If you're able and willing, let's just stand up for a second, stretch them out, say hi to your neighbor, whatever it might be. when I'm done here, Rob and I will then take your questions. So without further ado, I will get moving here. So what is media relations? People want to know. It's a pretty easy answer, and that's coordinating directly with the people who are responsible for making the news, so that we can talk about our mission, our policies, in a positive, and these next two are important, but consistent and credible manner. If we're not talking about us, someone else is. We've all probably been in a situation personally where someone else was talking about you, and that wasn't quite the truth. It didn't come out right. It wasn't the full story, which should really, I think, kind of highlight the importance of taking command of your own message, right? So we want to know who are these people who are responsible for, like within traditional media. We talk about traditional media, we're talking broadcast, both radio and television, print, and newspaper and magazines. So really getting not just to the individual journalists and general assignment reporters, but to their bosses, really, reaching out to assignment desks and news editors at these various publications. And what I can do, I'm going to have all my contact information up here as our ending slide, so you can get a hold of me. But we actually have this software. If for any reason you do not know how to get a hold of your local paper or local station, we have the ability through some software that I use on a daily basis called Meltwater to identify anyone based on geographic location, the last time they did an article, based on veterans, whatever it might. I got so much search. You guys don't even know how the sausage is made, I don't think. But I can find them for you. So feel free, when we're done, when I put that information up, jot it down and shoot me an email whenever it's necessary from you guys, and I'll do my best to get you in touch with the person you need to speak to. Okay, good reasons to speak to the media. One, obviously, to publicize DAV's purpose, services, activities, achievements. So when I think about those things, I'm thinking about information seminars that are coming to your local area. From national, we do put out press releases and, media advisories, which are a little different. Media advisories focus specifically on the logistics of events, let them know where they can go, what they're going to be filming, and who, what, when, where, why, right? Whereas a press release will get a little bit more in depth. Sometimes those are distributed ahead of time to garner some attention, sometimes distributed afterwards. But information seminars are a good way to let folks know, hey, we're going to have a benefits advocate, not in Minnesota, benefits advocate in town to get you connected with your earned benefits. Here's where you can go, what you can do. That's great for the organization. Disaster relief is really one of the areas where I think I see most local coverage. Sadly, right? We don't want folks losing their homes and floods, but we don't always have control of that. We do have control of what we do in response to it, and we do have control of whether the media takes note of that, right? So those are good opportunities. The DAV 5K, right? Fundraising efforts that you guys might be doing. I think it's somewhere in Wisconsin or Minnesota. I'm seeing every year, or it might even be Iowa, somewhere in the Midwest. Charity golf tournament, right? That happens one Saturday, and all the proceeds from the round go to local DAV. Those are good ways to publicize our services and everything we offer to veterans. Also want to establish DAV as a leader and a trusted source on veteran-related issues. So most recently, as you all know, toxic exposures in the PACT Act. Even if there's not everyone kind of associates burn pits with the post 9/11 generation, but you look at the legislation, and the big thing about it, and really the big messaging from DAV National has been that this legislation isn't just burn pits, it is generations of veterans exposed to toxic exposures like Agent Orange, radiation testing back in World War II, and so on. So it's you don't have to have a young active member in your chapter to be able to talk about toxic exposures and what they mean. And you know, having DAV on the forefront of that just kind of really helps solidify us as you know, advocates and thought leaders in that area. Same with you know, our women veterans programs. We put out the report in 2014. We did a follow-up, I believe it was 2018. I'm not going to speak for the legislative department, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple more years we're putting something else on it. And those are good things to publicize, to, you know, show folks that we're at the forefront of veterans issues. And then last, generational awareness. I think I started with this among disabled veterans, us, our tribe, so that they can benefit for all of us, so they can advocate for all of us and for themselves, right? Everyone's always their best cheerleader, you know, worst critic, but best cheerleader. So gonna move into good media relations. We always want to make a local connection to something, and that's something that local reporters are actually very good at doing, because when they present something like the PACT Act, and I'm just winging this right here, they're talking about the PACT Act, they are going to say, hey, you know, this affects someone in Floyd County, Virginia. Let's go talk to their commander, who, and, you know, he can go into, or she, into, you know, their Agent Orange exposure, hypertension, and, you know, just get running down the list of how the new law, new law as of this coming Wednesday, knock on wood, you know, how that's going to make a difference in their lives, how those benefits are in healthcare and so forth is really going to change their outcome. So make a local connection if you can. Learn what the reporter needs. The best thing you can do. So I was a combat correspondent in the Marine Corps. Not quite the same as being a local reporter, right? I'm a little more one-sided back then. But it's always good to. You can't always show through video what has happened in the past, right? And there's no time machine, but there are photos, right? And if you know you're going to be, you're getting a reporter connected to a Persian Gulf veteran who, you know, was dealing with oil fields on fire and whatnot, they're going to want a photo of that to help illustrate that. So it's simple things like that, finding out beforehand what medium that they are going to be on, so radio, television, whatnot, and getting them the appropriate materials to, I hate to say this, but the more you can help them do their job, the better they're going to do their job, and the better end product it is, and the better it is at the end of the day for DAV and for your chapter. So learn what they need, and that can be as simple as, you know, after you've spoken to them to set up coverage, just the simple question of what can I get you, what kind of content would help you in the long run for this product. So time your distribution, right? If you have something happening in a month, you know, newsrooms are 24 hours, if that. There's a sweet spot you need to learn, right? You're not going to shoot out a press release for something that happens in a month, because so much is going to happen between now and then. It's going to fall to the wayside. They're going to forget about it. But you also run the risk if you're just showing, distributing something the day before, right? People have schedules that might not always be easy to accommodate. So I like when, I always tell local folks, if you're reaching out with a press release or a media advisory for a local event, try and keep that about 3 to 5 days out, more towards 3. Like, you know, I understand over the week. Never, ever, never distribute something on a Friday or on a Monday morning. Because Monday morning everything's coming in, and Friday everything's going out, right? I think Tuesday mornings, Wednesday mornings are a good time for press releases. But again, it also depends on when your event is, and holiday schedules, whatnot. But generally, you're going to want to go about 3 days out from an event when you're distributing advisories and releases. So what makes an event newsworthy? Sometimes there's some question, hey, would you guys be interested in this? And what are these bullets I'm going to go through here? They're all pretty fail-safe on, news industry-wide. First being current events and issues, right? Again, the PACT Act is, and really all things toxic exposure over the past probably 2 months since it's really been gaining that national popularity. I've seen it coming through our meltwater software, which just aggregates all the news from across the nation. But as it has made that gotten the national attention, I'm seeing many more stories across the nation in small market publications that only go to have an audience of 50,000, 20,000, 50,000 people. But that's fine. Everyone needs to be made aware. There's by no means that a small market is more or less important than the national market, right? It's just how many eyes are getting on it, but we want to get as many as possible out there. So current events and issues are always newsworthy. Personal achievements, let's say, someone in Chapter 10 in Arlington, Virginia, just drove their 100,000th mile in a transportation network, or someone in I think it's Chapter 16 here in Orlando has just hit 30 years as a benefits advocate on behalf of DAV. We all know what personal achievements are, but those things are that don't come around very often, are very important to highlight, such as anniversary. Well, they come around once a year. I guess that's really what the word means. Anniversaries such as June 6th. We all know what happened then. D-Day. Thank you. February 23rd. I think only Marines might know that one. There we go. Iwo Jima flag raising, right? Those are types of things. So if you have someone in your company who is on Iwo Jima, or in your chapter who's on Iwo Jima, who was part of the D-Day landing, those are definitely the times to put them front and center and get them to tell their stories, because not sure how much longer they will be around to share those. If we're being honest, so need to make a concerted effort at those times of the year to get those people in front of the camera. And then holidays and awareness days, obviously Veterans Day, Memorial Day, but let's not just look at that. We have Caregivers Month, National Suicide Prevention Month. Those are times where you can, trying to think some legislation off the top of my head having to do with veteran suicide, but that'd be Veteran Suicide Month, or sorry, Suicide Prevention Month is a great time to speak out to reporters about that. I want to give a quick example of some successful media outreach that I've seen. Rob mentioned John Papizak. I think I butchered his name. I'm sorry if he's in here. He's from Ohio, but what he did a couple years ago was reach out to the Claremont Sun, which is his local paper, and one thing he told me, and I think he spoke to during this seminar last year, was about the importance of publications to gather content. They need this content just as much as we need the publicity in getting ourselves out there, right? So he was able to establish a relationship with a local editor to where he is now, as you saw, those were all just from the first half of 2021, I believe. In all that stuff that you saw, those headlines that you read, are in line with DAV's many critical policy goals, right? So we're getting out there and advocating at the local level, and it was a weekly column, I believe, and it was just an editorial. John would go in, he actually would send them to our national legislative staff to double check that he wasn't speaking out of turn or misrepresenting any DAV stance or policy. They'd give it a quick glance over, maybe a couple edits, not very often, but it would, it did wonders. But the great part about that was that John's involvement in that particular column meant there were some tertiary benefits of it, because the Claremont Sun, because they had that relationship with John, would then start covering his local chapter. I think it helped that he was a commander or the adjutant at the time, right? But, I think this goes to show that, once you establish that relationship with the local media, they're going to keep coming to you knowing that you can deliver, right? So just some examples there. Get into some tips. Number one, we always want to be kind of representing the brand, showing off the logo. Fox News is actually here right now doing some interviews with us. I've given them probably 4 or 5 of our member leaders. They're all wearing a polo, just like this. That's to say, I'm not sure, you can be interviewed for 20 minutes and a 10-second clip will be what shows up on the news, right? So I'm not sure who they're going to use, how much they're going to use, but I know that someone somewhere is going to have a DAV logo on their shirt. And, when you're wearing that, just keep in mind that, you are a representative of DAV. I think I'm going to get into the no partisanship here in a minute. But before you get going, this is establishing the ground rules. When you speak to a reporter, if you have a little hesitancy of what it might be that they're looking for, just, it's as simple as saying, hey, we're just here to talk about this, right? And they're gonna agree with you most of the time, I hope, and that's what you need to stick to. If there's a line of questioning that it seems, might not be appropriate for the topic, it's fine for you to say, don't really want to talk about that today. No comment is the worst thing. No comment is a comment in itself. So don't, please, if you're ever in that situation, do not use that phrase. Just say, not here to talk about that today, and hopefully move on. As I said, staying within our resolutions and remaining nonpartisan. A lot of times, it's something that reporters will do when they phrase a question. How do you feel about the Democrats, or how do you feel about the Republicans doing this? And the way to kind of deflect that a little bit is your answer generally needs to be along the lines of we don't care who put this legislation forward. We care that it helps veterans, and that's why we support it. This is going to make our lives better, or hey, we're opposed to this because what it's going to do is take resources from other veterans, and that's why we're against it. We don't want to see anything happen to veterans, but you can just kind of dance around that kind of, I want to call it a trigger in their questioning. So keep that in mind when you're answering those, and of course, always be truthful. And feel silly saying that to this crowd. You've all proved at some point in your life that you can take and follow an oath, and you guys understand the importance of truth and integrity, so I don't need to get moving on that too much. I'm going to transition here a little bit to the social media side of things, take care of this rather quickly, and then we'll open up for questions and try and get you guys out of here a little early in case we're unable to get some lunch. But social media is online, two-way form of sharing information and ideas. Rob really went into kind of some of the dangers of that sometimes. But that's the uniqueness of this compared to other generations is, back in the day when it was Walter Cronkite and Peter Jennings and everyone, they were talking to us. not with us, right? And that's the difference between social media is, you're able to provide that feedback to each other. Hopefully it's nice, hopefully it's civil, but in reality it isn't always, sadly. So you just got to be careful with what you're willing to engage in. The other issue with it is that it's free, right? It doesn't really cost anyone anything unless you're paying for, is it Twitter Blue? I don't know why you would do that, but hey, if that's your prerogative, go ahead. And then, it's frequently changing and really easily accessible. I'm sure all of you, I see some of you looking out now, you got those cell phones, those smartphones that make it very easy to access this stuff wherever you're at and to react to it immediately. And that can be dangerous, but it can also be incredibly powerful when used correctly. There we go. So why do we want to use it? I remember when I first came to DAV in 2014, when we were having this seminar. Afterwards, everyone comes up, says hi, and gives us their cards and has questions, whatnot. But even at that time in 2014, there was, it seemed to be a lot of hesitancy to start your own chapter page or whatnot, or even engage in social media. But the real benefit of it is it helps keep you relevant and up to date as quickly as possible. It's a way to motivate and a way to influence and change public behavior. I mean, you see all our social media campaigns back when we were fighting when we had the Unsung Heroes initiative, when we were trying to get the caregiver benefits program expanded to all generations. We had a very robust social media presence with a bunch of videos that we captured here at National Convention one year with a bunch of caregivers. We were able to produce, I think, about 10 different videos that we released. I think we were doing one a week in the lead up to an important vote in the Senate. So really just kind of drumming up a bunch of support by doing that, and getting some call to actions, getting people onto the CAN network, contacting Commanders Action Network, getting them to contact their local representatives and getting that bill and policy passed in place. So it's a very powerful tool, and you can, the good part about it is you have the ability to target specific audiences with specific messages. So when I say that, I'm talking about different demographics, age groups, and whatnot. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen here. In reaching potential members, right? We gotta keep the organization, we gotta keep members coming in, to keep everything running smooth, and we gotta basically have the next generation of advocates, right? You're not gonna do that if they don't know about you. So that's a good part about social media. Engage with the followers. Don't be robots. I think I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but I might as well get a little ahead of myself. But it's really important you can't just set it and forget it, right? You got to be engaged with it daily, at least daily, if not 2-3 times a day, to be able to respond to people. Because if they're getting a canned response, or even worse, no response at all, they're going to look at a page as basically, no one's running this. This is an afterthought for them on social media. Am I going to be an afterthought when I come in and want to get some help with my claim? Hopefully the answer is no, but so the way you react on social media is kind of your first foot forward. There we go, to the public. And you want to be reaching out not just with your followers, right? I don't think John Stewart follows us, but we have no problem tagging him at the national level because he's got more than 1 million fans on there. Not everyone might be be a veteran, but they should at least know who DAV is and what we do, and if they do a little research, they might have a veteran in their life who would be helped by our services. So, you know, that's the importance of casting that wide net. So make sure you tag folks, tag, because that helps you reach their audiences with your social media posts. And you also want to kind of find relevant hashtags. Here's one. It's important if you've been posting here and haven't been using it. I'm not looking at you, Alabelle, because I know you know how to do this, but that is our hashtag for National Convention, DAV Orlando 2022, or I'm sorry, 22. So make sure you're using that with any photos or whatnot. They actually, I believe, go into the convention app as well. It's a way for us to aggregate and share with folks. So I did not know it was going to do that. Okay. A couple more. There we go. Tips and tricks. I mentioned this. Check your accounts daily. Okay, it's doing it again. This is all right. There we go. Set reminders if you need to. It's very important, right? That we all, we'll all be at work and something will pop up, and it's easy to forget, right? So set something up on your phone for twice a day or whatnot, telling you to, hey, just check the account and see what there is, and let's see if this happens again. Okay. And very important to respond within 24 hours. Okay, I mean anything after that. A late response is better than no response. I just went over that, but really you want to be responding to folks within 24 hours. Remember, when you're on there, you are a representative of DAV. We don't need to get into disparaging other VSOs. I think that's something that kind of goes with the territory in the Veteran Service Organization world. I think we all want to take credit for the things that we all do together, right? It's funny, we very often work as coalition to get things done, but as soon as something gets done, we all pat our own selves on the back. And so sometimes you'll see, I've seen it before, other VSOs going at each other, and you wonder, it's like, how is this a good look for our community if, there's this infighting and, this group is angry at this group, but it's silly, really. It doesn't do anything to move the ball forward. It's kind of petty infighting that doesn't need to be brought to the public's attention. So that's a good reason not to do that. Again, nonpartisan, we're going to hit you with that. And don't get argumentative. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do on social media, right? Because no one is there to immediately punch you in the face if you need to, right? I think I heard someone say that once, that it's the reason people are so brazen in social media is because they don't deal with the immediate aftermath. Because you very often say stuff you wouldn't say in person, right? You feel a little emboldened, keyboard warriors they call us, right? But we don't need to do it. It does nothing to move anything forward, and very often just kind of makes everyone look dumb. A couple tools. Rob talked about the publicity guide. That's in the members only section of the website. Also DAVPSA.org when we're talking about those PSA campaigns. You can also do DAVPSA.com. It's the same website, it redirects. So either way, it'll get you where you need to be. But that's a good tool. When you're reaching out to the folks, the advertising directors at your local stations, who are the ones who decide what PSA placements you get. As nice as it is to go there in person, right, and speak with them, maybe bring a little DAV swag. Who doesn't like a t-shirt, right? Everyone needs a magnet for their fridge in the garage. You can take that, those are good things to do, but not everyone's back in the office yet. So what I'm getting at is that's a great thing about this website. You can still handle this via email, shoot it over to them, and it's really no lift for them to really hit a button and all of a sudden they have all 6 of our new PSAs. So welcome to go there. When in doubt, reach out to our social media manager. His name is Michael Stegner at our Burlington, Kentucky headquarters. You can reach out to him at social@dav.org. I'll leave that up for just a second before I start going into our handles here. There they all are on the various channels. Rob mentioned Twitter. We went from 100,000 to, I believe, 80,000 because Twitter did a purge of a bunch of accounts. It turned out a bunch of them were bots, but it didn't take, Michael is an incredibly talented social media manager. It didn't take long for him to get us 20,000 followers back, and we're on our way back up further. So, great kid. You'll see him here in a second. He looks like he's about 14. He's not. He's got a couple kids, but he's a great guy, incredibly knowledgeable. That is his information, if you want to leave it up, but or I'll leave it up there. I will switch to mine here in a minute, but in the meantime, I think we will open up the floor to questions, whether outreach, PSAs, anything for Rob or myself. I think we have a microphone here front and center. If you'd like to just come up, introduce yourself, and hit us with your questions, I'd appreciate it. Thank you all very much for your time. I'm going to move my contact information right there as well. Please feel free to take that down. But go ahead, sir.
Lincoln, Department of Ohio, Chapter 35.